Yeah.
Thank you for that.
I love the blue milk.
Speaking of, I don't know how true it is because I only heard it the other day, but apparently hippos give out pink milk.
Yeah, I've heard that.
Really?
Yeah. Although pink is a much more like pleasing color for a beverage or something.
I thought
know.
you said pig milk, and I was like, that's
entering the movie.
The problem I would have with that though is if like milk is coming out of an animal pink, then I would worry that there's blood in there.
Yeah, that's what
I'm just picturing this connoisseur going like, hang on a minute, this is pig milk.
I don't know. Like I've seen like bloody milk, and it wouldn't look the way you think. There's a lot of cow, because like cow farming is so atrocious. A lot of them end up with infections and stuff. I won't go into details because I know what you like, Rob, but it's bad.
It's all right. That's why I get Cravendale.
We're an advert again. Cravendale, everybody.
Pretty good. To be honest, I prefer the taste of box milk.
I'm not sure I've actually tried box milk.
I quite like it, but it does have a different taste, of course, to fresh milk, since it's superheated and then brought down, and then I think isn't it kind of like made from? It's powdered and then remade into milk in a way.
I honestly don't know. I remember looking it up at some point because I was like, "Why is there this really weird long life milk?" But I don't remember.
Yeah, I think it's that kind of thing. They make it into a powder, then kind of reconstitute it into milk so that it lasts much longer. But it has a different taste to it that I prefer. But Cravendale is my favorite fresh milk. So.
Cravendale's really good. And just gold top milk in general. I quite like that.
Can I just say, I feel really bad for Leon, retrospectively, because I don't remember us talking about milk at all. And Leon was actually
She did.
It's quite funny, actually.
Yeah, that chat was nice kind of steamrolled.
Yeah, Rob. Steamrolled by someone, wasn't it?
If I'd been here, I would have talked about milk because I quite like drinking milk. And wait, why was it steamrolled? What happened?
Well, I told Humphrey about the context, and then that was all we could talk about.
I mean, I don't think that's really steamrolled. I think that's quite a crucial talking point about the movie. It's very pedophilic.
I was very feebly trying to get us onto something else, and it was all just hanging over like a big cloud.
You should definitely be glad I wasn't here then, because it would have been worse.
I don't know if I said it before, Ben, but I really liked it, the film. And just another random bit.
It wasn't Ben's film.
Huh?
It wasn't Ben's film.
It was Dan's.
Oh, Dan, sorry. Let me look at.
But Ben, just so you know.
Ben was dual. I forgot. Sorry. Yeah. Dan, I really liked the film. And there was this bit of art I saw growing up. I never realized it was the girl in that film, because I had never seen it until like when you picked it. So.
What, Natalie Portman?
Yeah, that's it. Thank you. Yeah, I really liked it. It was great. Anyway.
Yeah, shame about the kiddie fiddling bit, but
certainly is a shame.
Yeah, shame that it's a large bit of it. But anyway, so
Snatch, everybody.
Actually, is quite an inappropriate word to use after that statement, but let's move on. Yeah, no, I picked Snatch because like I might have only ever actually seen this movie once, but it just really stuck in my mind. I remember, like I was saying before, I remember it as being. I think I've said to you guys before, whenever I start paying attention to who an actor is, like I start remembering their face and their name, I realize that I've seen them in many movies before, so I already liked them, but it just takes me a while to actually recognize them. This was one of those things. Like I remember being like, oh shit, Jason Statham was in there. He looks a lot younger. He's nowhere near as buff, and he was a little shithead character. Like he's still a main character, but he's like not anything like he's in most of the movies he's been in for like the past 10 years. Like even like I was saying with Mean Machine, even then when he plays like the hard man character, he's basically a silent strong man, which is really weird considering how like heavy an actor he's always been. So I'm not really sure what happened there, but it's still good, to be fair. Anyway, the point is,
say that last part again. He's always a what man?
Young man.
Oh, Wingman. Carry on.
No,
Yeah.
which part? Because I mentioned that quite a lot.
No, Carry On. That was literally the one thing I didn't hear.
Oh, okay. Yeah, just there's a lot of people in it that are well known. I honestly think it's one of Brad Pitt's best roles. Like he's a fantastic actor anyway, but I wouldn't say he's been typecast because he's done a wide variety of things, but there's definitely a lot of movies where he plays quite similar, like he acts in quite a similar way. But I feel like this is quite a unique thing for him to have done. So I always remember it. And yeah, I don't know. It just really stuck in my head because I remember it being really fun. It's really silly, but in a good way, like that it lends itself to the story and to the humor of it. And I just think it's a good blend of both like serious stuff, comedy, and like a bit of action in there as well.
Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Cool. See you guys next week.
Man, what's your
Yeah, no, I was saying to the others, to me, it kind of felt a bit like a British Pulp Fiction.
It basically is.
Yeah.
I'd never really thought of that until you said it, but like that's why there was a pause there where I was like, "Yeah, you're right."
I was kind of having difficulty on what I'd score it for story because like I was sort of like, yeah, these are like contrivances, but like the contrivances are sort of like part of the joke. So I was like, I don't know. So they're like, I wound up giving it a 10 because it is just like kind of that little thing of like British comedy, I think, where you're just kind of going like, oh, I've just chucked this milk out of a window, and it's like, of course you fucking hit that guy, the biggest fucking hard nut in town. Yeah, of course you fucking did.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I was gonna give it a 9 for story at first, and I saw you'd given it a 10, and I was like, I wonder why Alec, of all people, gave it a 10. And then the more I thought about it, the more I was like, actually, no, I think I was being harsh on the story because it's not Shakespeare or anything like extravagant or amazing, but it doesn't need to be. Like, it's entirely appropriate for what it wanted to be, and it does it really fucking well.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is like this is kind of the British comedy kind of aspect of it, where it's just kind of, I don't know, it's all just like the worst luck ever.
Yeah,
it's all just sort of coincided into this big like tornado of shit happening. Then it all just sort of works out in the end. It's like, yeah, I really like that aspect of it.
Yeah, to be honest, I'd completely, not to skip straight to the end of the story, but I'd completely forgotten. Like, I remembered all the bits about like the dog and them ending up with the dog, and I knew it was like a story being told in the past kind of thing, although I still think they do really well to build tension and stuff. But I'd completely forgotten, like, again, because this must have been I must have been decently young when I watched it. I'd forgotten that they get the stone at the end, and like when they get to the campsite and the dog's there, I was like, oh shit, they're gonna get it.
Yeah, I like how it was all written and how it all came together.
Yeah,
it was. I think it was very well done in a funny way, which wasn't too over the top. It was just really nicely balanced, I felt.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Just some like really memorable, like really well drawn like characters and stuff, like Boris the Blade and Bullet Tooth Tony and Frankie Four Fingers and all that. Like, just they really just kind of like pop for like.
He did not last long.
Well, that's the thing that gets me about the characters, is that like there's the obvious ones to focus on, which is like, you know, the main people, and then the people that've been given specific names, like Bullet Tony and Boris the Blade. But then even the people who, like, I've forgotten the names of, like, what was the name? Soul and
Vinny and Tyrone.
Vinny. Yeah, Tyrone, you won't forget. Even them, they're like just brilliant characters, and every single person in the movie, apart from like a couple of like a few of the side people, they've got really defined personalities, really defined like objectives. You know exactly what they're about and how they would react to the situation. And when you see them react, it always seems appropriate to what that character would actually do.
Yeah, I think you could tell that like Guy Ritchie has grown up around these people, because like there was a bit when when Doug the Head is first on screen. He was literally on screen for like 10 seconds, and I was like, "Hey, it's Uncle Stephen." And I just kept, I don't know, it just kept reminding me of like the dodgier parts of my family.
Yeah.
Oh man.
It's like, I feel like I know this person.
Saying about what someone was saying about Pulp Fiction, I think it was you maybe. When the first time in the movie it made me think about Pulp Fiction, which I already forgot until now, was when the guy with the Desert Eagle gun. Huh?
Well, Benny Jones, but
yeah, Benny. Yeah.
I said Vinny, and then I was like, wait, no, that's an actual character.
That's the guy he's pointing at.
Yeah.
Yeah. He gives a speech which reminded me of Pulp Fiction.
Yeah.
Just the fact that he's in the situation, it's tense, there's guns involved,
Okay.
and he's just there giving a speech. And it's just like, man, you got a point.
Yeah. That's one of the scenes that I always remember, like despite only seeing this one time many years ago, is I just remember how well directed and how well shot that scene is, just being like, seeing as like your guns has replica written on the side, it's like and mine just puts it down, it's like, oh fuck. And then again, even like I was saying before, I remember so much this word for word, and I was like, wait for it, now fuck off.
It's such a it's just such a nice little selection of like just scenes. I know I've talked to like Rob and Pat and Ben about it before, but like I was talking about like Layer Cake, and I just can't for the life of me. Like a week after I watched Layer Cake, I've lost like all memory of it. Where it's like
I've seen it and I don't remember a thing about it apart from I think Daniel Craig's in
Yes.
Yeah.
I can't
That's
remember
all I
if I've
remember.
seen it or not.
It's like, but then I watch it again and I go, oh yeah. And I know the bits as it's happening, but like it's just a completely, it's nearly a new experience every time I watch it. Whereas like Snatch doesn't like stick with me, like that scene in the pub with the, and mine says Desert Eagle, and it's like, ooh, Boris the Blade. Fucking love Boris the Blade.
It's the bit when he gets shot and he's like, "Fuck you," and he's like, "Just die, bang, bang."
Well, this is what I was going to say. Like, as much as I love Austin Powers, if you compare that character to what's his name?
Which could be an Austin Powers character.
Mustafa.
No. Yeah, but what's the actor's name?
Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell, thank you. I kept going to say Seth Rogen, and I was like, no, that's not it. Yeah, if you compare those characters, like they're quite similar, and obviously the humor style is very different. But like you see just how, like at least for me, they're both funny to me, but this one's so much funnier because because I guess with Austin Powers is everyone's the funny man. There's no straight man to go against, whereas here Tony is like, there's comedy within him, but he's mostly the straight man. And then it's just like, fucking shut up, Boris.
Sorry,
I'll go on, man.
No, I'll remember.
I was just going to say, like, that's why I really like Tyrone, Vinny, and Soul together, because like it's just, I don't know, it's just such a perfect mixture, because you got like Vinny and Soul explaining what's going on to Tyrone, and then Tyrone just like peppering in a little punchline. Like, it's so perfect.
Yeah. Just even like, because Tyrone is someone I'd forgotten about until I watched the movie again. But as soon as he came onto the screen, all I heard in my head was, "Of course I am."
How he says that. There's one moment in the scene where he says, "Shut up, Boris," where he keeps shooting him. It's the only moment I thought it was some weird ADR. He said, "Put the gun down." I think it was Abby or something like that. But you don't see him on the screen again, which I thought was ever so slightly weird. But I was just like, wait, that sound was in a different room. That wasn't recorded the same on location.
I would be interested to know, to be honest. Like, I actually think it lends itself to that scene, but it would be quite funny if they filmed the previous scene and then for some reason he wasn't available for the rest of it, so they dialed it in.
Yeah, because I was thinking, I was like, wait, why isn't he being shown? But he's still alive because he just said something. Because at first I thought he somehow got shot, though I swear he got down. But then I was like, I didn't see him. I was like, whatever.
I mean,
He's Boris the bullet dodger. He dodges
Yeah.
bullet savvy.
And to be fair, like they'd already shown Bullet Tooth Tony getting shot several times and just being like, I'm going to kill you now. So I feel like doing it again with another character would have taken away from that. So I actually think not showing him kind of lent itself to those characters.
That's actually like my favorite scene, that little flashback when he's like, I shot you and you died. And then he's got
no,
these
I like
shots
that.
in him. And he's like,
I like that.
trouble now. I was just love it.
Oh man, no, I like that. I meant I didn't see Avi.
Yeah.
After he ducked to dodge the shots when he said, "Pull up your sock." After that scene, you don't see him, but he says that bit of like ADR, like "put your gun away" kind of thing, or whatever, something.
I don't remember this. I remember the pull your socks up bit and he goes down. I'm not sure I get what you mean about the other bit.
It was just it might just be because me and sound. Sometimes I'll notice really small things. It was just one of those random things. I knew he was still alive, Abby, but you don't see him, and then you hear him speak. But then that's it. But I like everything.
Are you sure you hear him speak?
I think you've confused Avi with Boris, because I think Avi just escapes and then he keeps shooting Boris because the joke is that Boris is the bullet dodger.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay,
because that's what I thought you meant. Yeah, because Boris goes down, and then Tony is just like he's going to leave, but Boris keeps making noise, so he just keeps shooting at him.
Okay, that makes sense. The sound still sounded weird, but it's thank you. Now I know where Abby went. I was like, I know he left, but I don't know which point he left. But that makes sense. Thanks.
But yeah, I don't know. It just all the characters who die in it, I think, die in very appropriate ways. Like obviously Boris is called the bullet dodger, but he gets riddled with bullets.
You didn't see him though, so he might still be alive.
No.
He might.
I think he got shot in the head.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that last shot was a headshot. That's why he like made a point of aiming it right at him. The shot goes off, and then you hear the thud.
I know my head.
You never know. Yeah, then you've got like Bullet Tooth Tony, this guy who got shot 6 times all in one sitting, got a fucking tooth shot out, then gets fucking aced by a random American guy who doesn't know how to shoot a gun. Four Finger Tony, the guy that's been like hyped up the whole movie as being just an idiot gambler, and they've been part of this heist. He fucking just gets shot in the head with the tea cozy on because he got fucking trapped in the back of his van.
I must admit, like that was something that I thought was done really well, because like when Four Finger Tony was first mentioned.
No, it's Frankie Four Fingers.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, did I say that as well? Sorry. I think that's my fault.
Four Finger Tony.
When Frankie Four Fingers was first mentioned, I was kind of like, oh, Frankie Four Fingers, oh come on. And then within like 10 minutes, I was like, oh, fair enough, it's that kind of film.
Well, that's the thing. They make when a character like that is introduced in a lot of movies, it's made out that they're like a badass or something. But with this, it's like, no, he's a fucking idiot, and he lost one of his fingers because of it. I do like how even when they introduce him, like when he shows up the cards, it's like that, and it's like, if this was a different film, I think this was really campy, but it's fine.
Oh man, sorry. Even just like the little thing where like he's completely placid, like quite a lot of it, and then someone mentions gambling and just get the Viva Las Vegas.
It's so perfect.
Just gets me.
Where is he meant to be from?
Don't know.
I'm not
can't
sure
place
either.
his accent.
I mean, he looks like Italian or French or like a mix.
I feel like when he's talking to Doug, he sounds quite French, but he's like, "I am in the Osh."
Yeah, it's hard to say.
The start made me laugh. I think
Only the start.
it's just like there were different parts, but I was just it was quite memorable. I know you're joking, but it was quite memorable because I'm like, obviously it's like one of the starting scenes And I'm just like, wait, something don't think. Wait, Brad Pitt and all these, why are they dressed up like Jewish people?
Jewish.
These are like Yiddish Jewish people, whatever, and they're speaking with a like kind of Yiddish Jewish accent and talking about like the Bible or the kind of original Jewish scripts and whatnot and stories. I found it just funny because one guy's just going off on this kind of theological rant, and no one's really interested. He just keeps going on.
I'm really glad you said that, Emmanuel, because I also thought it was Brad Pitt at the start as well, because he has a very Brad Pitt face. And then, and I was like, but Brad Pitt's the fucking pikey. Like, this can't be him. And then he takes all the stuff off, and I'm like, I guess he kind of does have a similar facial structure. That's really weird.
Yeah.
No, because that's Benicio del Toro, and they actually reference that scene in Infinity War because Benicio del Toro is the collector. But when Thanos is standing on him, he's like, "Where's the stone?" And that's meant to be, "Where's the stone?"
I would have had no
That's a great one. That's a great one.
Just a bit of Marvel trivia for you.
Did Thanos then punch him and say it again, and then punch him and say it again?
No.
Yeah, correct answer. Because if you punch him once, he'd have obliterated.
Yeah, very strong.
What a muted way to describe Thanos.
He is very strong.
He beats the shit out of the Hulk, and someone's just like, yeah, he's strong.
Strong. Yeah. I think my only because when I first watched it, I was kind of like, look, I was like, I remember this being good. I remember this being really good, but I was just kind of like looking for stuff just in case that I was wrong. And when I was watching it the first time, I was sort of like Bricktop's whole deal where he's like, okay, so we've brought in this new fighter. He's now embarrassed me in front of all like my punters and that. Like all my kind of investors are pissed off with me. And then he's like, you're going to use the pikey again. And I was like, I don't know if you have any passing familiarity with pikeys. I would not rest anything on like relying on them to do what you want. But I was that was really weird. Pat looked one way and John looked the other.
You've upset the Irish contingent.
Yeah, I mean, I always put it down to, I'd say it's less about him being unfamiliar with them and more just that he's the big dog and he doesn't give a shit. Like, he just makes people do what he wants.
That was what made me go for it, because I was sort of like, well, no, because Bricktop wouldn't think in that way. He doesn't think of himself as being limited. He's a London mobster and he always scares people into doing what he wants. So he would think that he could dominate.
Sorry.
Yeah, I don't think it ever would have crossed his mind that his guys would have been jumped when they've never been jumped like that before. Not especially when it's a ton of them. They could get wiped out.
Yeah, because like I imagine in his head, like the thought is never, oh, is this a good idea? Is this a good investment? It's, this is what we're doing. Like, that's the be all and end all of the thought.
That's something about him being well drawn characters, because it's like it hasn't even occurred to him that like he could like someone that's not even in London necessarily is gonna be able to even touch him.
Yeah,
like
I mean that's why it worked as well, because I think any normal kind of like mob boss or something would have been a bit more careful, especially after that phone call. Would have been a bit more cautious, but it's totally believable that he wouldn't be.
Yeah, especially when he's like kind of. Oh, sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say he doesn't kind of go in killing everyone. He'll do one act to show that he's serious, and then step it up until they are just a waste of his time, and then kill them. So anyway, carry on.
No, I was just gonna say, like, if I was like, when he first did it, I was like, is this like a bit of an error in because I mean, like, I was like, I wouldn't have anything if I was Bricktop in that situation. I wouldn't have anything to do with it. I'd just cut my losses and I'd go, hey, whatever. But like, that's not him though. Like, he does have to kind of front up, and he has to kind of pass Mickey off as being like a legitimate fighter to like the people who like invest in him and stuff. So I was like, yeah, there's actually like quite a few reasons why Bricktop would like have him back. But just at the time I was like, I don't know. I probably wouldn't fuck about with a pikey.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
you
yeah,
shouldn't.
as you say,
I mean,
like,
the thing is, after he killed his mom, I don't like. He probably thought that was the end of it. He's going to take this seriously because he knows what I can do.
I mean, yeah, that was the point. Like, let's just take away the thing that he's clearly cares most about and is the driving force behind him potentially refusing, and threaten the fuck out of him.
Which you wouldn't do if you had any familiarity with them. But I kind of like the Turkish is sort of like low enough that he does know about them, and he's like, no, maybe don't. Like, kind of like he goes to Mickey out of like desperation and that. Whereas like, yeah.
Just makes you laugh that this all basically happened because Tommy's a fucking little prick and couldn't go on his own. Fair enough, the caravan would have been shit anyway. But, well, I don't know, actually. If he'd gone there on his own without the big fucker, then, you know, they might have actually got a legitimate caravan.
I think it's implied that Mickey does take issue.
Yeah, because he says no one brings a bloke that big if they're not if they're not trying to say something.
Yeah.
And obviously he took him because he was concerned, which he should be, but it was the wrong move.
Yeah.
Yeah, he should have gone himself with Tommy.
I mean, yeah, because he would have been the one to have talked to them already. So, because like there was obviously some sort of arrangement going on already. So, like, they should have just gone together. Because he goes with him afterwards anyway. So, like,
yeah, because Tommy would have been made a fool of.
But... Huh?
Yeah, Tommy got made a fool of.
I mean, Tommy is a fool.
Of. Yeah, he is a fool. I just found it funny that he didn't think it through enough to send him by himself.
No.
I
tell you what I noticed.
The only one who's going to be talking.
What?
Oh, I was saying he was the only one who's going to be talking about actually doing the deal with the caravan. Yes, he might be able to barter the price down. Doesn't mean he'll actually get a decent caravan. I didn't think it would break apart, which is funny, but
yeah, I mean, like as Alec was saying, it's implied they did that. In fact, that caravan might have been totally fine until they turned up with a big bloke, and then they might have fucked with it.
Yeah, that's actually true. That's a good point.
But yeah, something I definitely didn't remember, because I don't think I actually noticed it when I watched this previously, is I didn't notice that Tommy actually starts crying in that scene where he might end up dead.
Yeah.
See, I feel so bad for Tommy, because like the bit when he's like pretending that his gun fires to kind of like intimidate Errol and that, like he is at his like biggest like there, like he's like just sorry, I always find it really disconcerting when John just wanders off. I know he can hear me still.
Hey, it's Bramble.
Just the bit where he intimidates the guys and they're walking off, I was like, fucking hell, Tommy, you fucking rule. And then like just Turkish is just still laying into him, and I'm like, oh, you fucker.
Fucking what?
And then you get that lovely scene where Boris like just fucking, I don't even know what the name is for it. What happens when you just like just grab someone's balls?
I don't know if there's a technical term. But...
he just grabs Tommy's balls and comes back out with the fucking machine gun. I thought that was
saying that the mobster guy does that to I think does something similar to
no, he threatens to cut his balls, and then I think he cuts his hand as a warning.
Oh, he just cut his hand. Okay.
Well, I've never been 100% sure on that part, to be honest, because there's blood on his hand, but that could mean that he cut his leg or something, or it could just mean that he cut his hand as a warning. but he definitely threatened to chop his nuts off.
He threatens to chop his nuts off, and I think like he cuts his leg or something because it's like the next bit. If I will cut your leg, I will cut your balls off.
Oh, okay, cool. That makes sense. Yeah, I like how in this world, when Brad Pitt's character, just the way it was written, and they kind of all came together, and they just left. And I like how they left Tommy and Jason Statham's character alone, because even though he got them into this, they were forced into this as much as they were. So they just left them and went off.
I mean, yeah, like that. I think that scene is so well done. Like where the shot goes off, and obviously it pauses there to make you think, "Oh fuck, they're being shot at." But it's like you've got Mickey just standing there, like, "I don't give a shit. I know what's happening."
Yeah, I think all of it was written very well. Even the kind of like when they might pause something to explain it, it's like we both have a stupid looking face, but why didn't Mickey? And then, like you said, they explain it. I just like.
Yeah, the narration's really good.
Seamus delivered by Jason Statham.
Oi,
kablam!
I think one of the only things I wasn't a fan of, and that's just his style, was the exact color palette he used.
Oh, really?
Camilla said the same thing actually, and I was just like, yeah, that's the word for it. It's one of his stylistic things. I'm just not a big fan of that itself. In that particular movie, the way he did it, I wasn't too much of a fan. I think I preferred how he did it. This was obviously many years afterwards in Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels. It was just slightly different, but it's still his style. So I recognize that's just part of how he does things.
To be honest, I've always assumed the reason I don't remember anything from Lock, Stock is that they're basically the same movie. So I just remember all the details from this one.
Yeah, I must admit, I always assumed that this was a sequel until you picked it.
But they at least from what I remember, which, as I've said, is nothing. So this doesn't have any credence. They feel like they're in the same world.
I like how you basically just went from what I remember, which I must admit I have made up.
Well, like what I'm saying is like that's the memory the memory I have is that they were always very similar and they felt like in the same world. But I no longer actually remember anything about the movie. I just remember that feeling.
Yeah.
Well, there's a scene in Lock, Stock that's basically a copy in this film, which is the bit where Vinnie Jones is smashing the bloke's head in the door. Because in Lock, Stock,
that's right. Yeah, I remember that now that you said it.
in Lock, Stock, the bloke doesn't he threaten his kids? So he's like, "Don't you threaten my family!" He smashes it, and it's really brutal what happens. And he's basically just wailing on him on the door. But in this, he's doing the same thing, but then he answers the phone. He's like, "What?" Bonjour?
No. He goes, bonjour.
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 Like, what?
To be honest, that's the only scene in this movie where I'm like, it's a bit unrealistic because I feel like if you smash someone's head in a car all that often, you'd probably squish it.
Which part? I'm trying to remember which part of the movie is he smashing someone's head?
It's when you first meet him when what's his name? Doug is calling him.
Just after he drags the guy down the road with his head in the window.
No. It's way before that.
Before that, is it?
Yeah, because it's his introduction.
You get a shot from inside the car and he's just going for it, and then he puts out, he comes bonjour.
that was funny.
I really like his character.
I mean, that scene with him trapping the guy in the window is perfect.
Oh, poor Spud.
Even just at the end, where it's like, is he coming with us? And he's like, I suppose I'll let him go.
He just dropped. Okay.
Even Cousin Evie. Cousin Evie is my favourite
character in this just because he hates all things England. Doug's
Yeah,
like,
can you blame them?
we've got sandy beaches, and he's like, who the fuck wants to see him? Wonderful.
Oh yeah, the way he describes London, London, bad food, fish and chips, blah blah blah, something weather, London,
Bad weather.
Bad food, worse weather.
okay. I was just like, oh man.
Fish, chips, tea, whatever the fuck else he said.
And everyone keeps talking about the tea cozy. Cause I didn't know what a tea cozy was until this movie.
Oh.
I was like, what's a tea cozy? I looked at it, I was like, oh, because you don't see it in that much detail.
No.
But it's funny how often the colors it's like a tea cozy on his head. But everyone asks it when they see it. Like, what do you think? You have to put something on his head.
That's a question for you guys, actually. More for Rob than anyone else, because I feel like we've spoken about him before, but I don't remember his name. Who's the other black dude who shows up with the grill?
Oh,
Goldie.
Goldie, yeah.
Yeah, Goldie is what I had in my head. I was like, that can't be right. He's like, he was an actual rapper or something, wasn't he?
He was a DJ.
Funnily enough, he's just done a DJ set down the road from me.
Oh wow!
Wow.
So yeah, so he's just done an outdoor set at the racecourse, which is like literally 10 minutes away.
Oh wow!
Yeah, he used to be a DJ back in the 90s, wasn't he?
Yeah,
Well,
I remember when
and today.
Wow.
I remember when I saw him in the movie. I knew who he was at the time, but I think he was just on TV more then.
But
Like, wasn't he
basically-
in Big Brother or something at some point?
Yeah, I think he was.
Probably.
Yeah.
But his whole name come from his teeth because all of his teeth were gold.
Mm.
Sorry, that was
Is
not just
that
peak. That was peak Humphrey there. Just Goldie doing a set down the road. Yeah, he used to be a rapper in the 90s.
I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like Pete Humphrey is also the fact that he just basically said that his name came from the fact that he's got all gold teeth, as if the teeth were natural and he was named after it.
Good old gold teeth.
Yeah,
So he was in the film.
Yeah, briefly. Yeah, he made like a little cameo.
They say he's a,
Oh,
They call him to help him get rid of Frankie Four Fingers' body.
Good old 5 fingers.
He'd find a five-fingered
what
man.
a
Shit.
nickname that would be. It's Frankie's 5 fingers. Why do they call him that? Oh, Frankie's got 5 fingers.
Everyone else.
He's got 5 fingers more so than anyone else.
maybe it's in a universe where everyone has 6 fingers.
Well, maybe
That
it's
old
the Simpsons.
chestnut.
Yeah,
It was in the Simpsons, and they called someone
Yeah,
5
'cause-
fingers. That makes sense.
that'll make more sense.
Fuck's sake.
But yeah, he shows up twice. He shows up first trying to sell fake diamonds.
I'll just say, Sol and Vinny get like the fucking worst of it. I feel fucking awful for them because like Turkish and Tommy just come out of it going like, hey! And then just Sol and Vinny have just had like just bad luck, like just throughout.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
have, but I
why
feel
is
like
there
they
a
also
guy
deserve it.
Also
with a
deserve it.
missing
Though.
arm in your boot? Like,
Where is he? Oh, yeah.
Actually, that is one scene that I think is silly, and I feel like it's just done for effect. Which is when Boris chops the guy's arm off, and I'm like, right, why are you taking the arm with you? You've just chopped the arm off. Now chop the wrist off, and you're sorted.
Well, fun.
Or start with the wrist.
Or the cord that holds it to his wrist.
I mean, no, I assume the point of the cord is that it wouldn't be easily broken.
yeah. I don't know. I guess it was just, yeah, like you said, it's probably for effect.
Yeah, which is
Artistic
fine.
license.
It's just a bit silly. Especially because he fucking wraps it in newspaper.
That made it even better to me, because it's just like the only other things I associate with being wrapped in like paper like that, maybe some food or some chips or something, and instead it's just someone like the forearm. It's looking.
I mean, yeah, considering how British this is, I feel like that's entirely intentional.
Yeah, I would have thought so.
So it's just, I think it adds to the comedy. It's like, how is he gonna walk around with that? Okay, I guess he's getting straight in his car, so I guess he's not walking around with it. But
I feel like if I'm going to accept like all the things where like they'll just like have like kind of a 3-way car crash without hitting each other, but like all that, I feel like I'm going to just accept that as being part of like comedy, like him just wandering around with this forearm.
Freeway car crash.
It's the bit where Tommy chucks his milk out the window and he hits Vinny's car, and Vinny crashes his car, and Boris gets out of the boot and then gets hit by something.
But that's the thing, because the way that starts is with Boris getting hit, and I was like, I definitely had the thought when I first watched it, and I had it again now, where I was like, how the fuck did he get out of the car? And then you realise that's in the future.
Like that I think like that's all fucking ridiculous that all three like groups of characters are even in that vicinity with each other. So I don't know. I will just. It's a comedy.
Yeah,
I'll take it.
I think
it's all good fun.
I think Vinny is like really underrated as a character because like I think he's like just a perfect straight man because he's kind of like commenting on what's going on, but he's also ridiculous himself. And I really love that line, like when he first sees Tyrone and he's like, I thought you said he was a getaway driver. What the fuck did he get away from?
Yeah.
See, I like the bit when he gets the gun and Sol's like, what is that, Vincent? And he's like, it's a Sol, and he's like, it's a fucking anti-aircraft gun.
Oh, that scene in the bookies is so good. So where the woman's just like, do you know who this belongs to?
But...
And then it's just like, all bets. And then she fucking grabs a shotgun off of him, puts the screen back up, and they're like, fuck. And that's what I was going to say earlier. I think I definitely knew it eventually, like even before watching it again. But I think I misinterpreted things the first time I saw the scene where they're in the bookies. I assumed that it was like a one-way thing where it was locked from the inside, but you could get in from the outside. But I think it's actually just they're dumb and they didn't try and pull the door.
Yeah, often that's the case.
I wouldn't be surprised. But going back to the car crash, to me, it wasn't even just, it just worked how it was because the way the story was written, they all had a reason to be like in that kind of area at the same time because of how things lined up, and that's part of why I really like the story, how it was written. They wrote it in a way that everything lines up in a reasonable, within reason in the film. It just kind of lines up like that.
That's what I mean about the contrivances being intentional, because it's just this bad luck, just compounding on bad luck. I
mean, yeah, even the fact that they're like, oh, the dog ate it, and then the dog actually fucking eats it.
that is quite like that is an East London thing though, isn't it? Like that sort of, I don't know, the idea of like everything happening and then like you sort of ending with and sort of looking at it and being like, I can't believe you got away with that. Like it's just a film of that, isn't it?
It's a film about your life, bro. from Alex's perspective.
which I think would make Alec Vinny.
Yeah. Alex the straight man who is also ridiculous.
The bit that seals that for me is when Tyrone reverses into the van and Vinny's just like, don't move yet, they'll see the damage.
Possibly the most sense that was talked to the entire movie.
It's just, I don't know. It's all just so purposeful, and it is just taking its time. But I don't know. It's all just really punchy, and it's not rushing, and it's just having fun. And I think that's Jesus.
Who's fucking ASMR in it?
That's Ben. I can see him.
Is it?
Right.
No nostrils in my hand. Oh, it might be John actually.
It's not me.
Why would it be me?
I don't know. You that's going green every time. Yeah, it's happening.
I mean, what's the noise?
That.
I think that
what, my voice?
Oh no, breathing.
It's like heavy breathing.
Oh, let's see.
Yeah, a little bit. There was like a draft there.
Is it Pat?
I didn't want
For
to
the mo-
derail all of it, but
I mean, no, breathing's really fucking annoying, and and Alec gets really passive aggressive about it, so we need to address it.
I just hate oxygen exchange.
For the most part, I like the production of it. I think maybe some of my favorite parts. There's lots of good parts to it, of course, but I like the creativity of the boxing match. It kind of reminds me of very early days of what he did with Sherlock boxing match.
Yeah.
Yeah. This suited it, but obviously there's a part where he goes down in the fork, and then he goes down into water to kind of as a metaphor to the grogginess of how it would feel in someone's head after receiving that much kind of a beating, and it's like they're having to swim back up to actually fight to get back up in the fight. And there's lots of things I like how it was done.
I do think they do a really good job of making every punch like count, like you feel every single one.
Yeah, that's easier said than done.
Like even when Mickey's like tanking them, you can see he's going like, "Fucking."
Yeah, especially that fucking uppercut as well. Hang on,
Yeah.
honey, you've got caught.
Don't mind me.
The dog made an appearance.
Yeah, I thought a lot of the I thought that a lot of like the good sort of production stuff would be kind of like the music and like the camera work. I think those would be the highlights.
The sound and the visuals.
The
Yeah,
sound
all of
design
those.
and the visuals are fucking great.
Need to work on these smells.
Yeah, no, to be fair, Guy Ritchie's he's one of those directors, like you only have to look at a few frames and you know it's his film.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, it can be both good and bad, but it's definitely good with him.
Yeah, I guess it's because it's so stylized, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not with the kind of a lot of mainstream Western films, but it also suits a lot of the kind of British things that he'll reference inside of it, and it kind of just fits along with that.
Well, it's funny because there's very much like anime like stylings as part of the way he does things.
Tell us more.
True.
Well, like in the same way as like the Matrix, where you like it's not as in your face as the Matrix, but like just watching some of the scenes, you can feel like they clearly enjoyed like animation of some sort because it's a bit more like, well, like Emmanuel said, it's a bit more stylized. Like all the slow-mo stuff, because it's good slow-mo that's done well, not 3 hours of slow-mo that doesn't fucking mean anything.
Snyder.
Oh man, I still haven't seen that cut. Anyway.
I mean, feel free to, but it's not good.
I think the thing with Guy Ritchie is that he's another director who started off with music videos, and I think all of those guys, like him and David Fincher and whoever else, like I think it's because like if you're making a music video that's like 3 or 4 minutes long and you want to put your stamp on it, you need to have that style, and so I think it carries over, doesn't it?
Definitely, yeah. Plus, I think it makes them more conscious of sound design as well, which I think is really handy.
Yeah.
I didn't realize David Fincher started off with music videos.
He's like the big one that started off with music videos. I can't think of anyone else who did.
Whoa.
I guess it makes sense that he then did that music video for A Perfect Circle, because I didn't realize that when I knew he directed that music video.
He started off directing like 9 Inch Nails videos, I think.
Interestingly, Rob, I do think Tarsem actually started off doing music videos.
Of course he fucking did.
oh wait, he
to bring us full circle.
He did it for 9 Inch Nails and then got Trent Reznor.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's why they work together so often now. Is because he started out doing their music videos, and now Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross does a lot of his scores.
Well, it's funny because this is going to be a really shit trivia fact because I don't remember the specific details of it. But one of the guys from Rush, I think it might have been the drummer, I'm not sure. Apparently he like the reason why a lot of their videos, like their music videos, are really good is because he was actually like a full-on like animator, and he was, I think it was Steven Spielberg maybe, who was going to be, he was telling him not to leave the industry to go and pursue music because it's a waste of his talents. Like, I think they wanted him to work on Jurassic Park, and
Pretty cool.
then he decided to start the band, which obviously went really fucking well.
That's
So
pretty
which
cool.
band?
I think it was Rush. Again, I'd have to check, but I'm
Mm.
pretty sure it was Rush.
Yeah, and another director who started in music videos who has a very distinct style is Spike Jonze.
Awesome.
Oh, cool.
So I just like that John's first pick and his 10th pick were both directors who started off in music videos.
Yeah.
What was the guy you talked about, Alec? You said
Tarsum.
Who's Tarsum?
Oh,
No one.
I'm sorry.
It's irrelevant.
He,
To be honest, until you mentioned the Pitt thing, I didn't know who he was either. So
he directed
contribution.
John's first ever film, which was like our first. It took the Weekly Pooh of 2020 award.
yeah, because
see.
nobody can
Oh.
appreciate art. So
Another
You go.
another director that we've had that started in music videos is Antoine Foote. He apparently directed the
excuse
Gangsters.
you, mind that language.
apparently directed the Gangsters Paradise video as well as Training Day.
I don't know why that reminded me. Probably just because the word gang was in it, and we just watched a sort of actiony movie. But I just now remembered Gangs of New York, and I was like, that was a pretty alright movie.
What action film?
Scorsese!
What action film did we watch?
Oh god. Oh, fucking hell.
As a random
Yeah,
aside,
okay.
but it just reminded me of it. Anyone here listening, either ever listened to Soil or Drowning Pool?
Not as a
I mean,
habit.
I think we've probably all heard Drowning,
yeah.
just
I
not
think
maybe
one with me.
actively.
Okay.
It's got to
Well,
give.
basically, if it wasn't for the main singer slash lyric writer dropping out of university in its last semester, Soil might not have existed, and therefore Drowning Pool might not have ever been as big as it got to. Like Bodies wouldn't have existed in a lot of their like biggest songs. So
But if bodies didn't exist, how would the skeletons get around?
Oh.
that's
Oh.
one.
Man, I'm looking at this list, right, and of directors who started in music videos. So apparently Michael Bay's one of them, but the videos that he did were "I Would Do Anything for Love" by Meatloaf. he did a song called "Do It to Me" by Lionel Richie.
Oh my
And
goodness.
he also did that song "I Touch Myself" by the Divinals. Have you heard that? It's
Yes.
Yeah,
I have.
it's in
Yeah.
Austin Powers, isn't it?
Oh yeah, of course it is. Yeah, yeah. He did the video
Yeah.
for that. Like, what?
So what you're saying is he's a big fucking pervert, and that what his explosions are all this time is just a metaphor for ejaculation.
I just can't imagine like somebody watching a Lionel Richie video and being like, he should make Armageddon.
Yeah, because I bet the videos have got all those songs are pretty basic and shit.
Alec, did you just do a Jimmy Carr laugh?
A little bit.
Maybe.
Is that it?
Maybe.
Oh man, since someone obviously he has a weird laugh. Everyone recognizes that. But since someone pointed out that it's basically an anime villain laugh, and then I listened to the laugh, even though I knew who it was. I listened to the laugh side by side, and I was like, "Fuck, it really is." I can't get it out of my head now. I was trying to avoid that, Alec.
I'm sorry.
It was in my head as well, and I was like, oh, "This is ironic."
Going back to Snatch though, I thought like kind of the visual gags were kind of amusing. Like when he's on the phone, when Frankie Fourfingers is on the phone to Doug the Head, and he's at the tailor, and every time they cut back to him, he's got a different outfit on.
Yeah.
I really like that because I missed it kind of the first change, and then the second one he's in like a radically different outfit, and I was like, hang on a minute.
Who again?
When Frankie Fourfingers is in the tailor and he's on the phone,
Oh yeah.
but he's in a different outfit every time they cut back to him. And like he's got a cigar and a flat cap on.
That's a point actually. A bit of world building that I don't think I really noticed is when he gets into his van, he's got loads of clothes in there, which means he probably bought all of those outfits. I never really clocked that.
Nice.
Because at first I just assumed that was like his little hideout thing, and he was getting a change of clothes because, you know, he wants to make sure no one's following him or any bullshit because he's clearly like part of this big heist thing. But now I'm thinking, oh no, he's just really shit with money and he bought loads of new clothes.
No, I think it was all for a reason. His only problem was gambling. I think that was a thing. If you keep him away from gambling, he's very good at his job.
Viva Las Vegas.
And he's good with, I guess since he wasn't in disguise at first, it kind of makes sense that he's also someone who might be in many different clothes, like just from day to day.
Maybe. I don't know. I feel like that's giving him too much credit.
He actually seemed like good, like really good.
Did he?
It was just his gambling problem that I was like.
I reckon you've been fooled by the classic of confidence, making you believe that someone's good at something.
Donald Trump.
True. Oh no.
Snyder!
Now that's more like it. Donald Trump wasn't good at anything.
But he did convince a lot of people he was.
Yeah, hang on. Dan, I feel like you've missed the point of this conversation.
Yeah.
Back to your cavern, Dan. Do you want to do like favourite bits of the story, or do you think we've kind of gone through it?
That's
or?
a good segue into that.
Yeah, I think we could do favourite scenes.
I've just spent the last sorry to change the subject.
Didn't even do one.
Blow it down.
Well, it's a story of relief, but I've just spent the last 5 minutes I've spent the last 5 minutes really worried because there was loads of blood on my arm and I didn't know where it had come from. But it's a spot on my back, so it's fine. As you were.
There's two things about that.
Oh no.
First of all, you're a fucking idiot, and if you notice that much blood, you should stop what you're doing and fucking find out what it is. Second of all,
I'm
you're a
glad you're
fucking
right.
idiot. For the same reason.
Anyway.
Try again. So, favourite scenes, Pat, go.
Why are you jumping on me straight away?
Because you were the most negative, so.
Of course I am.
Because he's
It was 7.5. It wasn't a negative score.
You have a very limited pool of moments you remember, so I'm letting you go first.
Come back to me.
Okay.
We're gonna do your. We're just gonna say one, and then you're gonna go, "Oh, that one."
Yeah, that one.
It's okay, honey. It's been comfortable.
When did you last watch it, Pat?
Yesterday. I'm just trying to figure which one I
just want to know which one's the least shit.
Shut up.
Did you watch the film, Pat? Of course I have.
Yeah. Did you watch the film, Pat?
Yes, I did.
It was at a funny angle.
Oh my god, could you imagine? It's like, oh, I didn't notice that. It's like it was in the center of the screen. It was at a funny angle.
It's right in front of you.
It's okay to say you don't have one. It's all right. I don't know if you're doing that thing where you're trying to pretend that you're legging out.
No.
It's okay to say you don't have one.
We can come back. Let's go to
Get someone else
first.
Ben, what's your favourite scene? Go.
I think I've probably got like two scenes that are probably my favorite. The first is probably when I can't remember his character's name, but Vinnie Jones interrogates what's his name, and he gets his head in the car window, and he rolls up the window up further and further, and he just puts the accelerator on, and he just gets faster and faster, and he's so calmly like just talking to him, and he's just keeping up by running against the car, and it just showed you everything about his character and what he'd do. That he eventually let him go, and it's just like, oh.
I don't mean to mock you, Ben, but
What?
have you ever been in a car?
What do you mean?
Well, I've never heard someone describe going forward in the car as turning the accelerator on.
Well, maybe I'm not very good at using the right terminology.
It just really made me laugh.
Just putting down the accelerator, I should say.
No, that's not right either.
Okay.
Okay, dickhead.
In your defense, Ben, his car could have been evil and sentient.
Yes.
So if we're going to go down that route, look at what the poster says. It only talks about the truck. Fuck you.
The other scene was, I think, when the dog actually eats the diamond, because you have this like the expectation he will eat the diamond, but you don't see it until like halfway through that scene. And you say, oh, where is it? And it's just the empty case. And then they just look around the room and they just keep going. And then the dog just comes out of nowhere and just like scoffs it up. And then they're just like going nuts. And then he jumps out the window. It's just like, I thought that was just brilliantly staged and quite,
Guys,
yeah, it's just a good slapstick moment, I thought.
before you carry on, I've just got to introduce you to my new friend. It is a litre can of beer.
Hello to my little friend.
Thank you, very interested.
I think that might be the least interesting thing you've ever said, Dan.
I thought it said KA at first.
It's
Good beer.
Leah.
Okay,
If it was a litre of KA, that would be much more interesting.
Just sadly, look, it's a litre.
It's a litre of beer in a can.
I mean,
That is cool,
any
though.
amount of beer in anything is shit. So a litre of it is a lot of shit.
Oh, shots fired.
That is cool, Dan. Though. I get it.
It's not.
I
Don't
really
lie to
appreciate
it.
it, Dan.
It's a lager.
My heart weeps because I'm actually doing a sober September. So,
Gutted.
you know,
Oh.
How long will that last?
Oh, hopefully all this
September.
September.
yeah, that is the plan.
Well,
Yeah, but with you,
man.
I think you'll
Keep it up.
cave.
I'll be honest.
nice.
Be honest.
Oh, you know, good luck. Good job on the support there, Pat.
Yeah.
To be fair,
No,
on
keep
September the
trying, Alex.
1st, I did have a Guinness. So I'm going to go
But
to
you
the
failed
second
immediately.
October.
Well, hang on. Was it September the 1st, as in like you hadn't gone to bed yet, or was it actually like?
No, it was the afternoon.
Okay, you
Uh,
failed.
I'm going to 2nd of October. It'll be fine.
We're 4 days into September and you've only lasted 3 days.
Day 1. Anyway.
Alec Pittman, what was your favourite scene?
Anything to do with Bricktop, or just when? Actually, I think it's when he goes into Soul's
I knew
shop,
I'd do that.
and he's just fucking going for it. He's just like pigs, they go through bone like butter, and I was like, he's just having so much fun, and I love it.
Yeah.
But also anything with Bullet Tooth Tony, when especially when the guy shoots him in the flashback and he just pulls out a sword and he's like, "You're in trouble now."
I shoot you. You die. Why don't you go down?
just mental Londoners. I mean, you're all here, but it just really appeals to me.
Thanks.
Most of them don't live in London anymore.
Sorry, say that scene again, Alec. I'm really sorry. I missed it.
Which one? The first one or the second one?
Both of them. I'm sorry.
No, just straight up wasn't listening.
Just everything you said in the last half an hour.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you have to ask, it probably means he only thought there was one.
I like the little flashback where Vinnie Jones is getting shot, and then he pulls out
Yeah.
the sword, and he's like, "You're in trouble now."
And I like the bit when Bricktop does his little monologue with Sol and Vinny, and he's just going on about the pigs. And
they're both great scenes. I especially love how it ends off. In that, like, they have this conversation. The only one there who knows who he is Goldie, and it's like, "You going to tell me who the fuck you are?" And then they get taken out, and it's just like the whole place has already been kitted out to fucking murder them. Like, oh, and then Tyrone's in the bag, like, ah.
Yeah. I was like, man, poor folks. I mean, they got themselves into this.
Yeah, as I said before, like, I think everyone who dies in this movie, it was deserved.
Can I say my one?
No.
Oh.
Yeah, of course you can, Dan.
I think one of my favourite bits is the bit where he shoots the gun in the car. And all the fucking
replica gun, you know.
Yeah, he shoots the gun in the car and the windows blow out, and they're like, "What the?"
He was such an idiot. But that's like.
I mean, yeah. To be fair, I can imagine that being an exchange between Rob and Alec.
How do we know they work? Fuck it.
The fuck are you doing?
The fact that all the windows blow out. And
and the windscreen gets cut.
Poor dog in the car.
Well, what's great about that is it's fucking hilarious and ridiculous, but it also facilitates them then running over Boris.
Oh yeah, that's another bit that's great when you see him get hit, and then he survives it.
I mean, yeah, he's Boris the car dodger.
He's a dodger.
Boris the dodger.
Yeah, no, actually, he is a dodger, because in the same vein of that, you don't actually dodge anything. You're just really hardy.
Well, actually, another bit is great. Is the bit where he's got the gun and he walks in there and he's got a fucking AK with a grenade launcher, and you're like, what the fuck?
I do just love how Boris is just like maniacal in that scene. Like, he literally, somebody's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna make something of myself," and then he just grabs it. He just comes out. He's like, just got a fucking assault rifle.
I love that bit where God, I'm getting their real names and character names mixed up constantly, because there's actually fucking someone in there called Vinny. When Tony's with
Vinny.
No. Fuck you. When Tony's with Avi and his bodyguard guy, and he's like, oh, Boris, you know, he's trouble, he is, and then the guy's like, no, we can handle it, and then it cuts to him being like, we're gonna fucking kill him.
They're all beaten up and bloody.
Yeah. Oh, did he actually have a name?
Well, Bullet-Tooth Tony just calls him Rosebud.
No.
I assume that's his name, but it might be.
Yeah, that is. Or a nickname, at least. Yeah.
Emmanuel, you do a pick. I mean,
yeah, I was going to say that.
What's shit?
My favorite part, I was going to lead on after Dan, because it flowed quite nicely. My favorite part is when I forgot their names now. I think he is it
Vinny.
Vinny?
Avi.
Vinny.
I've had it.
And sorry, what's Vince? What's Vinny's character name?
Tony.
Bullet-Tooth Tony.
Tony, okay. So
I like that. Hang on a minute, before you carry on. I like how this is the exact thing I just went through with the exact same characters that you've still forgotten.
Yeah, I still find it hard.
No, that's fair enough.
But yeah, so they're just like, or one of them, I think it's Abby's like, isn't that Boris?
Yeah.
You already know what's going to happen, but it's just slapstick kind of like he's got a bag on his head, and or a sack on his head, and he's just like turning this way, turning that way, and then eventually just gets run over. I was like, this is great. And it's all because the guy shot the gun in the car.
Well, the best part about that scene is the fact that he's walking around like that, going, he could literally just lift his hands up and take the thing off his head.
Yeah.
Like his hands aren't behind his back; they're in front of him. That's what makes that even extra funny for me.
Oh, I didn't even think about that, but it's true. Maybe that's why he was ex-KGB. Like they actually
Yeah,
asked him
it
to
wasn't
leave
ex-KGB
he
because
sucked.
he was like he completed his service. It was he joined and they went, "Oh fuck no, get out."
Yeah, they probably asked him to retire early. Like, it's okay. We don't need you. We don't need your help.
Your work
You
is
can
done.
go.
Do you all?
Yeah.
You saved the country. Go to England.
Oh, man. Yeah, but yeah, that was my favorite part.
Yeah. Although, not that I give a shit about how realistic it is, but I feel like he wouldn't be ex-KGB because KGB are Russian and he's apparently Pakistani. So
Uzbekistan.
Uzbek.
Forest.
Uzbekistan was part of Russia at one point.
Oh, I thought they said East
Yeah.
Pakistan.
Oh, that's a big.
Oh. Oh my
I don't give a shit. No shame. That's what I thought they said. But that's why I was always like, that's a bit weird. Like, I get him pretending to be Russian. It's the same as the other guy pretending to be Jewish, basically. But like, it's a bit weird that he'd be KGB, but that makes sense then.
So, Emmanuel,
Yeah.
what's your favorite? What's your favorite bit? Can you just repeat it? No, sorry, I'm just being a dick. Rob, what's yours?
that's okay. I was going to.
Whoa.
Jesus.
No, Emmanuel, what that was is Ali being a twat because you often ask us to repeat things.
It was done with love, I swear.
He has no love in him. Don't listen.
Said John.
Hey, I've got 2 rescue dogs over here who receive all my love. There's none left for you fuckers. Playing the Good Samaritan card. Anyway,
Rob next, and then we'll go back to Pat. Oh, no, wait. Or John, whatever.
No, Rob can go. No, Pat's waiting for us to pick one, and then he's going to steal one.
I have mine in my head. So.
Pat, go.
Okay, so the first
when
scene,
it ended, we no.
The first scene was one that I mentioned to Rob and Alec yesterday. That reminds me of Rob and Humphrey at a barbecue. Like right at the beginning when Statham's character was like, "How long are those sausages going to take?" And he's like, 2 minutes, and then 5 minutes later he says, "How long are those sausages going to take?" And he's like, I felt like it was an interaction between Rob and Humphrey at the bar. The other one was in the office when they were going to look for the diamond, and Bullet Tooth Tony's giving off this sort of hard man vibe until they said to gut the dog, and then he sort of was ready to sort of crumple in a heap. It was just the way his character sort of changed. It made me laugh quite a lot.
Yeah, I did like that bit.
It's perfect. Because that is the sign of a good person. Doesn't matter what you do for other humans. If you hurt animals, you're scum.
Yeah, exactly. It's like,
if you hurt anyone, you're scum.
No, if you hurt animals, you're scum. If you hurt other people, there might be a reason for it. But there's no excuse for hurting animals ever.
Yeah.
I squashed a spider.
Oh shit!
I mean, that's
excommunicate.
Depends. Was it in your house?
Yeah.
That's okay then, because your house is your domain. What you do there is all right. But if you do it out in the wild, I'll find you.
I've done it outside as well.
Find you and I'll kill you.
Currently, bro.
Liam style.
Fine. Get ready, Pat. You ready for this?
I thought you said currently, bro. Currently, bro.
Currently, bro. There's one under my foot right now. But yeah, I love that character is literally just there for that sausage scene. Like he serves no other purpose at all.
That character is Humphrey for me.
He's always just there.
Although I guess Dan is never around,
sausages.
and he just comes in occasionally with a one-line.
And he's always barbecuing sausages.
Sausages. Yeah.
To be fair, Dan was the barbecue boy for a while.
Then Rob got a new one and was like, "No, I'm taking over."
Oh, he stopped inviting us, didn't he?
Yeah, I was going to say it was more that Dan stopped, and then Rob was like, "Fuck this."
My
Saying that
human
for the
rights to a barbecue.
Would you say, Manny?
Saying that for the amount of money they had in the they had kind of slot business and different stuff. And yes, compared to these days, back then, it might not have made that much money compared to now when they rip people off left, right, and center. That I've heard from people who have been gambling for that long anyway.
I mean, they've always ripped people off left, right, and center with
yeah,
slot.
but before there was like a way to play them, and you didn't lose that much, so you always kind of went back because you didn't lose that much compared to now where they literally rob you blind. It's daylight robbery. And anyway, point is, why do they have a caravan with a door? It literally comes off. It looks like they live like they have such a rundown office.
Because if they didn't, they wouldn't need a caravan, then they wouldn't have to speak to the pikeys.
Exactly.
Fucking pikeys.
How did it get to that point though? It's just funny.
I think it's always been like that. I think the point is that it's a really shit caravan. Not that it like became dilapidated and they've lived in there that long. I think it's just really shit, and they're really shit. Despite the fact that he has 10 grand on hand to use, they're really shit.
Yeah, they're not the smartest of folks.
They're not smart. Full stop. The only smart moment they have in the entire movie is when Tommy pulls out the gun and actually pretends to use it with very minimal shaking of his hands.
Yeah.
Because if he'd been like that, they'd have been like, fuck off.
Yeah, I thought he did well there.
Yeah, and at least he didn't buy a fucking replica that's got it written on the side, because I don't know if it's still the case, but I'm pretty sure that there was or is a law that they do actually literally have to say replica on them. So like that's a thing that you'd have to know.
Probably, I think I've heard something like that before.
Like getting the one from Boris that doesn't work actually turned out a lot better. Because realistically, if Tommy had gotten a real gun, he probably would have accidentally used it or blown his bollocks off. Either way, he would have ended up in a much worse situation.
Yeah. The fact that Boris sold him when that wasn't working, I wonder if it wasn't actually working, or is it because he just didn't like kind of treat the gun properly or clean it properly? I don't know.
No, it's definitely because it was a shit, like possibly not even a real gun. Like I think the point that they make is he's like, oh, it's a bit heavy, and then he's like, oh, heavy is reliable. Like anyone that he gives a heavy gun to, I imagine, is a shit gun that doesn't work.
I'll be honest. I thought that was Four Fingers' gun.
Oh, it does the same with Tommy.
Because the gun is quite similar, and obviously he emptied all the bullets out before he gave it to the.
I mean, yeah,
Russian
but Tommy.
Oh,
yeah, but Tommy wouldn't be attempting to test the gun without checking if there were bullets in there or not.
Yeah, but you don't know.
Yeah.
No, no matter how stupid they are, if there's two of them there and they're talking about testing the gun, he wouldn't not check if there were bullets in there, because if you just do that, it doesn't, like, if there's no bullet in there, that's going to happen.
No, I think Pat's saying that's the repurposed one that Frankie doesn't use.
No, that I think is entirely possible, but the idea that it's unless I completely misunderstood you, Pat, sorry, the idea that he just didn't check if there were bullets is really silly.
Well, didn't he pull the trigger when he was in the car and it just went?
Yeah.
It means there's no bullet.
Blip, blip, blip.
Also, I don't think.
So I don't think he actually checked if there was bullets in it.
There's no way. As ridiculous as these characters are, there's no way that they'd have decided to test a gun and not checked if there were bullets.
I think it just doesn't work, because that's why Boris is like, hey, if it doesn't work, maybe you can hit him with it.
Yeah, like I feel like that's the entire point behind Boris, is that he legitimately has guns and is a psychopath, but I guess unless it's someone he knows and cares about personally, he would just give them a shit one and no one would do anything about it because he's got the real fucking guns and he's a psychopath.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he
Also, I was
fucks
going
them
to
over
say,
as well, doesn't he?
What do you mean?
He fucks the people over because he wants the diamond, doesn't he? And he gets them to rob the thing.
Oh yeah.
So yeah.
What do you mean he fucks the people over there?
Use a noun, please.
What do you mean when you say he fucks the people over?
Well, there's a bit where he gets them to rob the place.
Yeah.
To get the diamond from the bloke that they've knocked out in the car. And when they find out that it's all loads of shit, he kind of goes like, "Oh fuck."
I mean, right, but that's not him fucking. That's not him fucking them over. Like the agreement was that they'd hold up the place once. What's his name? Frankie. There we go. They'd hold it up once Frankie was in there, so they would get all the money from the place, and then he would get the briefcase. He didn't know that they weren't taking any more bets because, in fact, he specifically sent Frankie there to place a bet.
Yeah.
Like that's just pure happenstance. Like because they had no idea what was going on with the fighters, and the reason there's no more bets going on in the bookies is because the fighters changed, so they could only do the betting on the day at the actual fight. So like, yes, Boris is a psychopath, but he didn't fuck them over. I mean, he did eventually, but that's because they went against the agreement.
Yeah.
Because like legitimately, the agreement was, I'll give you 10K, you can take whatever money's in the bookies, and I get the briefcase. Whether or not he knew that it was Bricktops, that's another story. Because if he did, then yes, he did fuck them over. But
I think Emmanuel's trying to say something.
I was just going to add something to what Pat was saying. I don't think it was the same gun. It wouldn't make any sense for someone, a kind of gun kind of dealer in Antwerp, to go through that much effort unless they were low on guns in the kind of London branch, to be sending it through like that, because it's effort unless you're doing a big shipment.
I mean, like, yeah, I don't think it's realistic, and I definitely don't think it was. But I get where Pat's coming from. Like, I think just from a non-realistic point of view, and just from like an aesthetic point of view, and like, you know, in-world sort of humor, I think it would be funny.
Yeah.
But,
between you and Rob for favourite moments.
Hang on, Manny was still saying something.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Oh no, carry on. I can't remember what it was.
Fair enough. Right.
Apologies.
So I mean, my favourite moments like were all Vinny, Sol, and Tyrone, because I just think like they're all just like written so perfectly, like as a dynamic. Because they're all ridiculous, but none of them believe that they're the ridiculous one, but they all believe that the other two are the ridiculous ones. Like it's just it's just so perfect. And also an honourable mention for Binoculars. But yeah, I don't know, like any time that the three of them were on screen, I was just like, oh man, I wish I was there. Like, because it's just yeah, like I say, it's just such a fun dynamic with them all just being like fucking stupid but not recognizing it in themselves.
Yeah.
Oh, what, Vinny, Sol, and Tyrone?
Yeah.
Mm.
Me, Rob, and Pat.
Each one thinking the other is ridiculous. But in fact, being ridiculous themselves.
It's even down to like really subtle things, like when Tyrone reverses into the transit van, and Vinny's like, it's a 4-ton truck, and it's like, it's a transit van.
Yeah. So my favorite moment, well, my favorite scene. My favorite moment is a different thing. My favorite scene, because it's the thing that always stuck in my mind. And when I was saying earlier about the music stings and like everything going on, the scene I remember the most is the scene where Mickey knocks out Gorgeous George. Obviously all the lead up to it is really well done, just him like stretching and whatever, and then like how ridiculous it is that he gets thrown through the barricade and then just starts stretching his leg and the lads push him back up. But it's just the tonal shift, the fact that it's like, oh well, this, like, you know, it might be Brad Pitt, but this little fucker ain't gonna do much. And then it's the fact that the immediate punch, the pause on it, the sound effect they use, which is just ingrained in my head because I was waiting for the moment and I heard the sound in my head before it happened. And then just the lead off from that of him just being on the ground like, oh, fuck. And then the narration just being like, yeah, if Gorgeous George doesn't get up in a couple of seconds, Tommy's fucked.
It's a good fucking moment.
I was going to say, because you think he's dead, and then you find out that he's hospitalised, and then you further see him. He's got a fucking brace on his head, and he's like,
just making faces because he can't do anything else. I say making faces, making eye movements.
I was actually quite surprised with this film, John, because there's a lot of animal.
Because you normally pick shit.
Oh no, it's because there's a lot of animal harm in it, and I was just like, this is not John.
I mean, there's a lot of
dog
suggested animal harm.
Like dog fighting and the hair.
Are you just going to ignore what I said to carry on your point?
It's not quite as bad as Once Upon a Time in the West where the horse falls over, to be fair.
Yeah, like don't get me wrong, while I don't like any kind of animal cruelty or anything, if it's appropriate to a story, fine. But in this, it's all suggested. You don't see anything happen.
I don't actually think, does anything even happen though? Because the dog swallows a bunch of stuff but doesn't get shot. The pigs.
I mean, there's literally a dog bleeding out on the floor in the like the dogfight arena.
It looks like one dog is dead after one dog won a fight.
I was just thinking about with the hair as well. Like they don't even catch the hair, so nothing.
No.
Yeah. No, they just catch the fat bloke.
Because they lose the bet, don't they? Because the hair gets away.
Well, that's the funny thing about that.
Those two moments.
Obviously, you assume that they're going to lose the bet anyway. But the moment the scene started and I saw they were looking for Tyrone, I was like, oh, I know what's going to happen here. They're going to catch the fat guy. I just love them. Like, he's like in the boot, like, and they're just like, shut up.
So they are pirates.
Yeah.
Shut up, pirate.
I got
their favorite form of treasure is fool's gold, because it's pyrite, which if you didn't know, on the chemical table it's R. That's all factual information. Just continue, Dan.
Yeah, I was going to say the fact that Jason Statham kept saying the Germans.
Yeah, the Germans.
The Germans.
Oh.
I was just like,
I quite liked that because that's something that we would do, like just a random thing that a group of friends would do, rather than it being like a character in a movie. And I think that really kind of encapsulated the whole London thing.
Rob, how do you feel about that?
I must admit that's the only reason I didn't give it 10 for enjoyment. Just because every time Jason Statham said it, I was like, "Shut up!"
What don't you like about the Germans?
Oh, I just found it irritating.
It's a bit racist. What's wrong with the Germans?
Or the fact that
exactly. What is wrong with them?
Well, they keep saying, "Oh, fucking hate bikies." Oh,
It's
fucking
on
hate
Poland.
Russians.
Yeah, they said that a lot. I forgot about the Germans. It sounded like an in-joke that's not really meant. It's not really explained, but maybe some people might get it. The pikey thing, I was like, I get it. You said it so many times. I get it. I mean, I haven't had the greatest experience with some at one point, but that's beside the point.
Let me just take your statement and blanket it and say that anyone who's had an experience with a pikey has not had good experiences with pikeys.
It's okay. They don't have internet connection. They'll never hear this.
That's what they wanted to think. Where do you think they got those guns?
Yeah,
Amazon.
There's mobile internet these days, you know. There's phones.
What is
There's
that noise?
hotspots.
Oh, Emmanuel, I think your mic or something is going crunchy. No, I'm not telling you not to talk. I meant like, I don't know if there's like a cable coming out or something. I don't know. A bag of crisps.
It did sound like a bag of crisps.
Only if it was in his mouth.
No, you could...
Yeah, go on.
I wasn't looking actually. Yeah. Fucking hate bikies. There's the one bloke that says I fucking hate Russians. I'm like, what?
I mean, yeah, everyone hates Russians. It's kind of
That made more sense. I mean, the Cold War did happen. Like,
I think
spot the American.
I mean, let's be real. If anyone says I fucking hate insert anything, it makes sense.
No, not always.
I mean, yes, especially if it's like either a nationality or a religion, it always makes sense because everyone at all times hates something.
Oh, I get that they hate it. I was just saying it doesn't always make sense.
Oh, no. If we're talking realistically, no, most of it doesn't fucking make sense. But it makes sense that people were saying it.
Oh, yeah. It did make sense, yeah.
I do like that Dan was sat there going, you might have had a Cold War, but you try living next to Parzo's Park.
I mean, to be fair, when I went to college in Capel Manor, there was a point where the whole park leading up to our college got cordoned off, and we were like, what the fuck, why are we not allowed in there now? And they were like, basically pikeys have taken over. Well, no, they said good trees, but pikeys.
I always remember when I was working for Group Call, there was a Tesco across the road, and one day the pikeys just took over the car park. So they was like, but there was like loads of caravans sort of like parked at the back of the car park. And I remember going to get my lunch there one day, and there was just a parking warden stood there looking at these caravans like, I don't know.
You could make a movie about that. Just like the choices we make, splitting the road, just being like,
do I want to die? Do I regard my life? That's the main thing you got to think of.
Like, on the one hand, they're pikeys. On the other hand, I'm a traffic warden, and I take my job very seriously. If I don't give them one, all that shit I've been given over the years, but you know what? No, I like my life, actually.
I'd have just loved to have been inside his head as he stood there like, oh man, the ultimate test.
I love the idea that he saw a vehicle, because like, you know, he sees hundreds of cars and vehicles a day. Like, he probably didn't fully register what it was. It's just like he saw it and he was like, yeah, okay, and then went, maybe not.
Two roads diverged in a wood.
That is called wisdom.
Walks up to me, he's like, God, there's a lot of caravans in this car park, and he's a people dog, and he's like, yep, nope.
I've never cared about my job enough to get stabbed.
I still remember someone talking about like caravan parks once being like, one person was saying about how you must be poor if you live in one of those places, and the other one was like, no, the whole point is that it's really fucking cheap to live in a caravan. So they're the ones with all flash cars. So the other guy was like, oh, so if I wanted to make off with a load of money, I could just go rob a caravan park. And it's like, if you want to get shot, yeah, that's a terrible idea.
Yeah.
So does anyone have any other thoughts about the vagina of this movie?
How about you?
Snatch isn't the word for vagina.
I'm thinking about the speech, but I was like, he didn't use that word.
Mate, what?
When he said you came here for some pussy, but
No.
It's never comfortable to say, is it?
Especially not when you've got other people with you. Sorry, that wasn't intentional. I genuinely didn't know what you meant.
I knew exactly what you meant, but I couldn't stop you. I'm so sorry.
Yeah, that scene is great. It's just like, oh, you're the dick, and you got your two balls.
I'd have actually really liked that if in that speech he did kind of go, "You're here looking for some pussy."
It's like that time where, like, I don't have a problem with saying the word, but I know that other people do. So there's this time when me and Rob were walking around, and I called someone a count because I I'd gotten away with it so many times, just saying it quietly enough and fastly enough that it sounds like Khan. And then he just looked at me and went, "You just say count?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then I explained it to him, and he went, "I don't care." I was like, "Oh, right."
I don't think it was even count, was it? I thought you said crunt.
No,
I
I think it was Khan. Crunt sounds like too much of an actual like idea to use. I would have probably just used a real word that didn't work.
Oh man, that was brilliant because it was one of those moments where I was like, he definitely didn't say what he meant to, and then like the moment kind of went on, and then I was like, no, I'm gonna have to address this.
And then you found out I said exactly what I meant to. That's not what I wanted
to count, but I said cramp.
So yeah, Pat, any last thoughts?
No.
Ben, any last thoughts?
Ben, Dan.
I'm good. I think
Everyone's just so fucking desperate to get to Emmanuel's pick.
It's so secret, even Emmanuel doesn't know what it is.
I'm sure he knows by now.
We don't know.
Just about.
Oh, see?
I did not know.
Ah, fuck it hell.
That's what's the call, then we'll never know.
I'll start saying it if no one else has any thing else to say. But thanks for picking the film, John.
Aww.
It's been on my list for years.
Have you not actually seen it before now?
Yeah, I haven't seen a lot of classics.
No, I don't mean like that. I just like because I was surprised. I was surprised Alec had seen it. Just because I assumed that most people wouldn't have seen this before. I figured that maybe Dan and Ben, and I thought Pat definitely would have. But other than that, I didn't think anyone would have, to be honest.
That was a really bad read of the room.
Yeah, it was.
Everything was the opposite.
Yeah, I always planned on watching it, but just never got around to it. Same with Layer Cake and whatnot.
Yeah, it's one of those movies that like it's really fantastic. It does really well at what it does, but it's not like, even though again, like I said, I feel like it's one of Brad Pitt's best roles. It's still not like essential viewing. So it's one of those things that can just fall by the wayside, even though it is really great.
Yeah, he
like
did really well.
It doesn't like leave its mark on history or anything.
Yeah, I was just like the accent.
Yeah,
Spot on.
Yeah,
that was really good.
I mean, I don't know what's worse, how good his accent is, although I can understand most of it because even though my grandma isn't a pikey, she's got a really fucking strong Irish accent.
To be honest, the only part I literally didn't get literally.
Yeah, go on.
I
Keep
think
saying
half of what they were saying was, but then I realized what they were saying is when the subtitles goes inaudible on purpose, and it's when they're describing what they would like to come in the in his mom's caravan.
Yeah,
like the cushions and all the other stuff. When he first kind of specifically on purpose, obviously it's part of the script, going really fast and going like that. So like, oh, okay, I'm starting to catch what you're saying, but I did not expect you to go off like that.
But Emmanuel, do you like Dags?
Dag.
Dags.
They're okay. I wouldn't have one myself.
It's the way you pronounce it. Dog.
Yeah, that's the like. Considering he's fucking scared shitless of being there, why would you turn to them and go, "Oh, dogs"? Like that's asking to be punched in the nose.
But that's Tommy for you, so.
Yeah, he is
Said
an
that
idiot.
like you personally knew him.
I'll just say, I love that. I thought it was really sweet. We're all going like, "Do you like Dags? Do you like Dags?" And then you just answered when I wouldn't have one myself. Fucking delightful.
Sorry,
I've had a puppy.
Aww.
Sorry, nothing. I'm
I don't
not
bring
really a
up
pet person.
Sad memories.
Yeah, I mean, puppies are hard work.
Yeah, But I get it. Basically, I'm just not that person.
I mean, yeah, like until I lived with Nick, I never would have owned a dog because while I know that there's plenty of people who have dogs and they work all day, then come home to them and the dogs are happy, I just could never do that. Like, if I can't dedicate enough time to it, I just don't think it would have been fair. But because Nick's here all the time, I don't have to worry about that.
That's a good point. Yeah.
Whereas cats, who gives a shit? Like, they'll do whatever they want.
Come in, eat, pet me. All right, bye.
Loads of world up.
I'll see you when I next want some. Basically, I mean, yeah, she's a cat person, Camilla, so we'll have a cat or two. Anyway.
Let's see if this works. Hang on. Emmanuel.
And my film is your mum.
10 out of 10.
You know that.
Fucking hero.
What was that? Stuff on my mum will shoot. Amazing.
Oh yeah,
a very nice person. No, yeah, I don't mean she's a tart. Like I just meant.
I love that scene where he just pauses and realizes what you said. He's like, oh fuck.
Yeah, but actually, honestly, which kind of blends in, I think, flows into what my film actually is. It's I don't know if anyone here has seen it. Same guy who made Memories of Murder.
Probably not.
And it's called Mother.
Oh, okay.
It's a murder investigation film, thriller kind of thing.
That sounds familiar for some reason.
It's another one of his kind of well-received films.
Yeah.
But I haven't got around to watching it yet. I meant to, but just never did. So, yeah, I'm suggesting it now.
Oh, that's why it sounds familiar. There's a Jennifer Lawrence movie called Mother.
Yeah, there is. I forgot about that.
Is it the American version of it?
2017?
2017, yeah. Is it an American version of the movie you're talking about, or is it coincidence?
That's a coincidence, I think. And I think this.
Yeah, it's a coincidence. It's not like Ben was saying, it's a different storyline completely.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I can't remember what it's about, but it's nothing to do with what the original
year
was
did
about.
The movie you're picking come out?
It came out, I think, maybe a few years after Memories of Murder. It might have been like, I think it was like,
okay, here's an easier
15
question.
years ago.
Is it Korean?
Yeah, it's 2009.
Yeah, I've got it now. I
it's
didn't like
11 years ago.
as soon as I asked, I was like, I should just double check that it was Korean. I can probably find it that way.
Yeah, so the same guy who made Memories of Murder, Bong Joon-ho.
Oh no, I saw a picture.
Parasite. Yeah, so he made Parasite, the one on the train. Who can help me remember the name of that film?
Snowpiercer.
Yeah, Snowpiercer.
Snakes on a train. I'm not going to tell you why, because I'm not into spoilers and stuff. But I saw one single image of this movie by mistake just now, and it reminded me of The Matrix. Oh no! I don't know why I just searched Mother on on streaming sites.